Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we're going to talk about method parameters. So in the last video we learned what a method is and we learned how to create one. In this video I want to talk about how to create a method that will bring in some data, right? What if we want a method that will allow us to do the same thing many different times within a program, and it includes or it brings in variables, and so and then it does something with those variables and returns a result, right? So the methods that we created, they really just helped us move around in our program so far. Now we're going to learn how to unlock the power of methods even more. So let's think all the way back to that first program we built, the Hello World project, where we said hello and then your first name. Let's think about how we can use a method to really make that kind of shine. So if we look here, we have our public static void main method. This is our main method. We've declared a string variable. Then we have a console write line that says enter your name. Then we accept their name into a console. We accept their name and add their name into the first name variable. Then we have a console.write line. And then inside the write line, we're calling a new method, a different method, a method called message. But notice that inside the message method call, there's some data. We're putting that first name variable inside the parentheses in that message method call. Well, that's because our message method, this thing right here, is a public static string message, and it brings in some information. So let's go through this piece by piece. So as you can see, the method call inside the console.writeLine statement has something inside the parentheses. This is a parameter, okay? Now, the parameter is essentially going to send some data to the method that we're calling. If we look at this method, the message method itself, we can see that it has a specific type. Let me get my screen in the right place. You can see that it has a specific type here. With the other methods we created in the last video, we created void methods. This method is a string method. The reason why it's a string method is because that's the type of data we are going to return back to the method that called this method, right? So we're going to return a string back to the main method. All right. Then inside here, we're basically declaring a new string variable called name. This new string variable called name is going to store the value of the first name variable we're passing in. So if I type Steve, then Steve is inside first name. Then when we call that method, we create a new string variable called name, and then we put Steve inside of name. Does that make sense? Okay. Then the next thing we do is we have this return keyword. Now, the return doesn't have to be the only thing inside. We can do all kinds of math operations and all kinds of cool stuff inside the method. But the last thing in the method should be this return statement. Return means anything that follows the return statement is going to be of the type the method is created as. It's going to be a string. And it's going to return that string or int or whatever data type back to the method that called this. Okay. So essentially what will happen is we'll enter, first name. So, my first name is, I don't know, Rebecca, right? So Rebecca gets entered. Rebecca is stored in first name. So we're going to call the message method and we're going to pass in Rebecca. So we go to the message method, we create a new string, call it name, and we add the value, Rebecca, into the name method, or the name variable. Then we're going to return hello plus whatever's inside the name variable. Okay? So this is exactly the same as creating a void method, except we're passing in some arguments, and we're going to do something with those arguments. So let's actually do a more, robust example, we'll say. Let's create a multiplication calculator. All right. So I'm going to create the method first. and then we will talk about, then we'll actually build the rest of the calculator. So I'm going to create a public static, and this is going to return an integer. So it's going to be an int, and we'll call this mult. And I'm going to bring in two pieces of data. So it's going to be an int, and we'll just call this A, and int B. So we're going to bring in two different variables into the method itself. And inside here, we're going to say, we're going to create a new integer. We'll call it, I don't know, let's say value equals A times B. Then we will return the value. Okay? So this method, we could create this method, and we could call this anytime we wanted to multiply two numbers together. Again, this is still a very simple example, but this is how powerful methods can be. Okay? So let's do this. I'm going to create a bunch of integer variables. We'll call them, I don't know, let's go, I've already used A, B here. Let's actually change this to Y and Z, just because. Honestly, because these are variables, it really doesn't matter what these are named. All right, so I'm going to create A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. I'm just going to bring in a ton of numbers. We'll do a couple of operations. So let's say console.writeLine, or we'll do write. Enter a number, int.tryParse, console.readLine, out A. All right. Let's copy this and paste it down here. And instead of A, we'll change this to B. And then we'll do console.writeLine. And let's call the mult variable. And let's pass in A and B. Okay, let's run that and see if it actually works. See if we've messed something up somewhere. Hello? I would very much like for you to move now. My program's not working. What did I do to deserve it? All right, let's stop it for a second. Actually, I'm going to get rid of G because I just noticed this is an uneven A, B, C, D, E, F. Right. Let's run it again. Come on. What's going on? Hello, Mr. Program. I would like for you to run, please. Well, this isn't great. I'm going to refresh my page. Hopefully I didn't lose too much. Uh-oh. Come on. I lost a little bit. Not too much, though. All right. I'm going to pause the recording while I fix this. Okay, I'm back. Now, there's a ton of code. I get it. So what I did was I fixed I added in the stuff I'd already written, and then I basically just copy and pasted so that we could have a couple of different problem sets. And because we are... Oh, I didn't output anything. That is something I forgot. Write line. I forgot to bring in A, B. And then we can copy this. Actually, let's get rid of that. Alrighty. and this is C and D. I just want to show you that different variables, even though we're going to have 6 different numbers in here, the one method will handle all the different variables we throw at it. So now I'm going to run the game, or run the thing. Let's say we'll do an easy one first. 2 times 5, 10. It works. So we're passing in A and B into mult. So it comes down here, mult, this becomes 2, this becomes 5. We multiply and return the value. All right, next number, let's do 6 and 9. 54. That is correct as well. Let's try something crazy. 597 times 1,278. And we get our answer. I don't know if that's correct, but I'm assuming it is, right? So that's the power of using a method that can pull in parameters, right? We can pass in data from our program into our method, into the method, which will allow it to do something with that information. So with the example over here, we're doing that with strings. With this example, we're doing that with numbers. You can do it with really any data type you want. You can have a method that returns a Boolean value. Okay, there's all kinds of things you can do. So that's about it for this lesson. Again, if you can understand this, if this makes sense to you, if this is clear to you, if you can follow this and go, okay, so mult, we're going to call this mult method. We're passing in these 2 variables. These data, are going to be whatever they enter there. It's going to come in. If you understand this concept, the rest of this term is going to be a cakewalk. You'll be totally, everything's going to be breeze after this. It's going to be super simple. All right, that's about it. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you understand this stuff, go ahead and take the methods quiz, and then start working on your combat simulator, which is a really, really fun program. All right, well, I'll see you there. Peace.